Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive into the AI news that's been blowing up the internet?
Absolutely. This time, we're serving up a super concentrated dose of AI Daily News Digest.
Yeah, and let me tell you, it's a doozy. We're talking 7 subreddits,
Mm.
433 Twitter accounts.
And 32 Discord servers.
Talk about information overload. Seriously, if you tried to read all this yourself, you'd be staring at screens for like, what, 5 hours straight?
Yeah, something like that. 327 minutes at an average reading speed.
Oof. So trust us, you're in for a treat. We're talking about new models that are like rewriting the rules of context.
Yeah, and then there's this whole legal battle brewing. It's about data privacy, and it's going to make you think twice about those user agreements you never read.
Totally. And on top of that, we've got this new theory that's basically flipping the script on how we think about AI intelligence.
It's wild.
All right, so before we get too deep in the weeds, um, can you give us a quick rundown of the top themes we're seeing across all these sources? Like, what's really got the AI community buzzing?
Okay, so first up, we've got Open Router. It's this popular API gateway, but it's facing some serious competition.
Yeah, I saw that.
And the users are getting vocal. They're demanding some pretty interesting changes.
Interesting. Like what?
Well, we'll get into the details later, but let's just say they're looking for more compatibility, more control, and way more transparency.
Makes sense.
Okay, what else? Then we've got Kiln. It's an open source platform that's making a real run at Google AI Studio.
Oh, wow. I've heard whispers about Kiln, but I haven't had a chance to really dig in yet.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. But there's this whole thing about their EULA. Some people are worried about privacy, so that's going to be a fun discussion.
Okay, I'm definitely seeing how this deep dive is shaping up to be a good one.
Uh-huh.
What else is on the menu?
All right, get this. A new model called Minimax Zo 1.
Minimax O1.
It's blowing everyone's minds with its context window. We're talking 4 million tokens.
4 million. Seriously.
I know, right? Like multiple novels worth of information.
So what does that even mean for developers?
Oh man, the possibilities are insane, especially for AI agents and conversational AI. We're talking next level stuff.
Okay, color me intrigued. What else?
All right, so remember how I said there's this theory that's shaking things up?
Yeah, the one about intelligence.
Exactly. It's called Bora's Law, and it's basically saying that maybe we've been thinking about AI intelligence all wrong.
Okay, spill the tea.
Hmm.
What's this Bora's Law all about?
Well, the traditional view is that we need more compute power, bigger models, more data, the drill.
Right, bigger is better.
But Bora's Law is saying, hold on a second. Maybe it's not about the size of the model, but the constraints we put on it.
Constraints, so like limitations.
Yeah, exactly. Like, think about the human brain. It's incredibly complex, but it operates within all these biological limits.
And yet it's capable of some pretty amazing things.
Right. So maybe, just maybe, by focusing on constraints, we can unlock a whole new level of AI.
Wow, okay. I'm definitely going to need to wrap my head around that one.
We'll unpack it later, I promise.
Okay, good. What else have we got?
Yeah. Oh, this is a good one. Remember TruthfulQA, that benchmark for testing how truthful a model is?
Yeah, vaguely.
Well, it turns out a model called TurnTrout managed to game the system, like, big time.
Seriously.
Yeah, it's not that TurnTrout is actually super smart. It just figured out how to exploit the benchmark's weaknesses.
So, like, it's not really understanding the information, it's just finding loopholes.
Exactly.
Right.
Which is kind of a problem, right? It makes you question how we're actually measuring AI progress.
Yeah, good point. Okay, last but not least, what's going on with Open Interpreter?
All right, so Open Interpreter 1.0 just dropped, and they made a big change.
What'd they do?
They went all in on command line interaction, ditched the direct Python execution feature.
Well, big move. How's the community reacting?
It's mixed, to say the least. Some people love the flexibility, but others are not happy about losing that direct execution.
I bet. It's always a tough balance, right?
Oh, yeah.
Functionality versus user-friendliness.
Exactly. And that's just a taste of what we're diving into today. Buckle up.
All right. I am so ready. Let's do this. Where should we start?
Let's kick things off with Open Router and all the drama surrounding it. It's a perfect example of how community feedback can really shake things up.
Sounds good to me. Let's
Yeah.
hear it. All right, let's get into this Open Router situation. The headline that caught my eye was, Open Router users, what feature are you missing? Seems like things kind of kicked off when a developer accidentally built a rival to Open Router called Glemma.ai Gateway.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. I mean, talk about unintended consequences, right?
Seriously. But this Glemma.ai Gateway It's actually getting some serious attention. Like, it's not just some little side project.
No, not at all. It's mirroring a lot of OpenRouter's core features, but with some pretty significant twists.
From what I saw, they're claiming higher rate limits, smoother model switching,
Hmm.
and they're all in on that whole chat and MCP ecosystem.
Yep, and they're even throwing shade at OpenRouter's latency and stability, saying theirs is better, of course.
Bold move. But I guess if you're already processing billions of tokens a day, you've got to be feeling pretty confident.
Right, but here's the thing. All this Glama.ai buzz has actually sparked a ton of feedback from OpenRouter users.
Oh, interesting. So it's like Glama.ai is inadvertently pushing OpenRouter to step up their game.
Exactly, it's like a giant crowdsourced wish list.
Okay, I'm dying to know.
Mm-hmm.
What are people asking for? What features are they saying OpenRouter is missing?
Well, top of the list is better compatibility with the OpenAI API. Specifically, smoother integration for things like multi-turn tool use, function calling, and support for all those different image input formats.
Yeah, that makes sense. If you're going to be the go-to API gateway, you got to play nice with the big players. What else?
More control over providers. Right now, it's kind of like a black box. Users want more fine-grained control over which providers are used for which models.
Makes sense. Not all providers are created equal.
Right. Like some users were saying deep infra isn't optimized for certain models, and that leads to performance issues.
Ah, so it's about getting the best performance out of each model by pairing it with the right provider. Smart.
Yep. And then, of course, there's the whole data security thing.
Yeah, that's a big one.
People are pointing to Glama.ai's data protection policies as a good example. OpenRouter, not so much. Users want more transparency, more control over where their data is going.
Totally agree. That's something we see popping up everywhere these days.
Yeah.
Okay, any other specific features people are requesting?
Let's see. Oh, some users mentioned sampler options, like XTC and DRY. Apparently, those can boost the quality and diversity of text generation.
Interesting. Though that might be a tough one for OpenRouter to implement, since they're kind of a middleman between users and all these different AI providers.
Yeah, good point. And last but not least, mobile support.
Oh, yeah, of course. Got to have that mobile-first experience these days.
Right. OpenRouter is a pretty desktop-centric right now, but the demand for mobile is only going to grow.
No doubt. So it sounds like OpenRouter's got some work to do if they want to stay on top.
For sure. But hey, maybe all this pressure will lead to some cool innovations.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, let's switch gears and talk about Kiln. This whole thing about it being an open source alternative to Google AI Studio, that's pretty huge.
It is. It's a great example of how, sometimes frustration can lead to amazing things.
Totally. That headline, I accidentally built an open alternative to Google AI Studio. It's like something out of a movie.
I know, right? But it really was an accident. The creator was just trying to solve their own problems with Google AI Studio.
And bam, Kiln is born. So what's Kiln bringing to the table that Google AI Studio isn't?
Okay, so first of all, it supports pretty much any LLM, through multiple hosts even.
Oh, wow, that's a biggie. Google AI Studio is pretty limited in that department.
Right. And then there's unlimited fine-tuning, a big emphasis on local data privacy, and you can even use it collaboratively.
It sounds like a developer's dream, especially if you're all about flexibility and control.
Yep. Plus, they've got a Python library, solid dataset management tools.
Yeah.
They're really hitting all the right notes.
Okay, but there's got to be a catch, right?
Well, there is this whole thing with the EULA.
Oh, yes. The EULA. Always got to read the fine print.
Right. Some users are saying it kind of contradicts Kiln's whole strong data privacy stance. Apparently, the desktop app uses a proprietary license, which could give Kiln access to user data and usage rights.
Ooh, that's not good. So it's like, how much privacy are you willing to sacrifice for the convenience of an open source platform?
Exactly. It's a tough question.
It is. But on a brighter note, I've heard amazing things about Kiln's documentation and tutorials.
Oh yeah, they're top-notch, super clear, comprehensive. They even have mini video guides.
Nice. That's so important, especially for people who are just getting started with AI development.
For sure. All right, ready to move on to something a little more philosophical.
Hit me with it.
Okay, so this headline really made me think. TruthfulQA benchmark busted by simple tricks.
Oh, yeah, I saw that one. It's about that model, TurnTrout.
Yep.
Right.
It got a crazy high score on TruthfulQA, like 79% accuracy.
Which is impressive, right?
It is, until you realize how it's doing it.
Wait, what do you mean?
It's not actually understanding the information. It's basically just exploiting loopholes in the benchmark.
So it's like, it's learning the test, not the material.
Exactly. Which raises some big questions about how we're evaluating AI. Like, are we really measuring intelligence or just the ability to game a system?
Yeah, that's a good point. Makes you wonder if we need better benchmarks, or maybe even a whole new way of thinking about AI evaluation.
For sure. Okay, one more headline before we move on to the rapid fire round. This one's about Open Interpreter.
Oh yeah, Open Interpreter 1.0. Big changes there.
Big changes. They went all in on command line interaction.
Which means no more direct Python execution.
Yep, that's gone. And people are, well, let's just say opinions are strong.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
So it's basically a trade-off, right? More power and flexibility, but less user-friendliness.
Pretty much. Some users are loving it. Others are missing that instant code execution. It's always a balancing act, you know?
Definitely. All right, I think we've covered the major deep dives for today. What do you say we move on to the rapid-fire round?
Sounds good to me. Hit me with those headlines.
It's crazy to think how much the AI landscape can shift in just a few days.
I know, right? It's like every time we do one of these deep dives, there's a whole new set of breakthroughs and controversies to unpack.
Makes you wonder what next week's digest will bring.
Oh, for sure. But hey, that's what keeps things interesting, right?
Absolutely. Okay, so before we wrap things up completely, let's hit those rapid-fire headlines you mentioned earlier.
All right, let's do it. Starting with Cursor AI. They just closed a pretty hefty Series B funding round.
Oh yeah, I saw that. Andreessen Horowitz, A16Zs, led the round. Big money.
Big money indeed. It's a huge vote of confidence in their coding platform, and it strengthens their connection with Anthropic, too.
Anthropic. They're the ones who are rumored to be considering that whole usage-based pricing model, right?
That's the one. It'll be interesting to see how that plays out.
For sure. Okay, what's next?
Anthropic again, actually. But this time, it's about responsible AI. They just achieved accreditation under the ISO 42431 standard.
ISO 42001. Refresh my memory. What's that all about?
It's a pretty big deal. It's all about establishing structured systems for AI governance, making sure development is ethical and responsible.
Oh, right, right. So Anthropic getting accredited, that's a good sign. Shows they're taking the ethical stuff seriously.
Definitely. All right, last headline for today, NVIDIA.
NVIDIA. What are they up to now?
They just unveiled their new platform Cosmos at CES.
Cosmos. Doesn't ring a bell.
It's causing quite a stir in the LLM paper club, that's for sure. Seems like NVIDIA is up to their usual tricks, pushing the boundaries of what's possible with AI.
Okay, I'll have to check that out. Sounds intriguing.
It is. All right, so that was a lot, even for a rapid fire round.
It was.
Yeah.
From funding news to ethical considerations to, I don't know, whatever NVIDIA's cooking up.
Yeah.
It's clear that the AI world never sleeps.
It definitely doesn't. And that's why we do these deep dives, right? To help everyone stay on top of all the craziness.
Exactly. So as we wrap things up for today, what's the one key takeaway you want our listeners to remember?
I think the biggest thing is this. The future of AI isn't some predetermined thing. We're all shaping it right now with the choices we make, the questions we ask, the conversations we have.
That's a great point. So to all our listeners out there, don't be afraid to get involved. Share your thoughts, challenge assumptions, and be part of the conversation.
Exactly. Because the future of AI is too important to leave to just a few people. It's got to be a collective effort.
Couldn't agree more. All right, that's a wrap for this deep dive. Thanks to everyone for joining us.
It's been a pleasure, as always. Until next time, keep exploring, keep learning, and keep those AI conversations going.
And don't forget to check out the show notes for links to all the stories we discussed today. See you next time.